So, Friday night, drivers' parade. It's always a good laugh.
Yeah, it was nice to see, one, the drives themselves, two, the actual town getting together.
Yeah.
So not only do you see the people that are coming, but the actual local residents, because it's a once in a year thing, isn't it, for Le Mans?
It's what, rightly or wrongly, it's what the town's
known for. So it means then you actually get to see everyone coming out and everyone having a lot of fun. And yeah, I mean, again, this is where you have to make a choice in this situation, because you get to, so you can go to the pit stops, you can go on the track.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people go to the track because they can then walk along it. You've got people who run the track, they cycle the track. The length of that track, what did we say was it before? It was around
8 miles.
8 miles, so pretty long marathon, if you get what I mean. So there's that, and then there's also then the driver's parade. So the timing's very critical. So you either have to do one or the other, and then it is what it is. But I mean, you can definitely go to the pit stops for maybe half an hour, 45 minutes.
Yeah,
gets very crowded there.
Yeah,
and
this year in particular, it was busy.
So number of people at that event. What do we want to say?
I think I looked it up actually. I think I came across it. In fact, I'll just do it now for the argument's sake. How many people at Le Mans?
I remember you saying it was like 400,000 or something.
That's what it was last year.
Right. Okay.
90 second. There you go. 2023. Record-breaking audience. How many people attended? Hold the line, please, caller. Oh, you go. Here you go. Le Mans surpassed Spa with the latest figure of 325,000 in 2023. I remember watching the beginning of the race last year, and it said something like 420,000. I'm certain it did. Either way,
felt like more.
The biggest thing that we noticed in comparison to when we went 2 years ago in 2022, the amount of people that were there this year was unreal.
Yeah, like every food aisle kind of, what would they call them? What do they call them, those places?
Burger vans.
Burger vans, yeah, the burger vans. Every single van that I can remember was just packed. There were queues everywhere. And this is kind of where we realised that Le Mans is changing a little bit, or it has started to change.
Just as a disclaimer for both of us, we still love Le Mans.
Yeah.
I think it's a great event. However, in comparison to when we attended 2 years ago, and definitely in comparison to when I first attended in 2010, the event is completely different. I mean, the premise is the same, obviously, but in terms of the experience as a spectator, it's completely changed for good reasons, which we'll go into, but also for understandably and predictable not so good reasons. Part
of what's made Le Mans special was the fact that you were attending an event or kind of like a race that's quite well regarded. It was still an up and coming thing. It's always had a very big reputation, but compared to, and again this is where I think it's a bit controversial from my side, F1. Yeah. I feel like the gap between those two events is starting to now close up. It's becoming more mainstream.
Someone commented. Sorry to interrupt you. Someone commented on the Beer Mountain Le Mans fan page saying Le Mans has been Liberty Media'd.
Yeah, it's becoming so mainstream now to the point where I think it will get closer and closer to F1 in the way it works along, the way the financial side of it works as well. So not only are we seeing that, purchasing a ticket, the ticket prices are still where they are, it means then a lot of people can come through. And so finding places to sit, finding places to go and actually experience the race.
The people were I've spoken to a couple of people who've attended and stuff in the past, and they said like the way it used to be is you could plonk yourself on the side of the circuit and like have one of those disposable barbecues just out to hand and cooking stuff trackside for the start of the race. You would not. There were times we were trying to walk. This time we were trying to walk around to get a place to sit, and in comparison to 2022, when literally I think we went down near the Dunlop curve. Yeah. Dunlop curve, the Dunlop Bridge. We got 4 or 5 rows back from the edge of the fence.
Yeah. So
we're sorted.
It was horrible. Like I found.
No. Last time we went.
Oh, last time. Sorry. Yeah.
This time though.
No. Completely different.
you'd have had to have been there at least 2, maybe even 3 hours before the start of the race.
And that's where, again, another tip's going to come through, right?
Yeah.
Get there before, get there on time beforehand, because
And be prepared to stay there for the long haul.
Yeah, it's like we said before, it's an endurance thing, not only for the racer but for the spectator as well. So perch yourself somewhere, get a camping chair, and be prepared to stay there. Brolly as well. Oh yeah, the brolly. So, France is funny in the way that it's now starting to get more like Britain, the UK, like the weather. Like the rain for 2 minutes, maybe half an hour, then it's complete sunshine.
And then rain again.
Yeah, be ready for that. And this is where really we kind of, once again, we enjoyed the Le Mans event. We loved the feeling, the sounds, the experience, but it's that part where it starts to kind of really irk. And I think it irked me and you specifically.
A little bit, yeah.
Seeing so many people, again, seeing that enthusiasm and that reaction to the sport is great, but the experience is no longer... Yeah, it's the cost. It's no longer what it used to be.
How can I best say this? The pros of the race becoming like it has been is clearly been, I think, from the change of the rules. They changed the rules to make the racing more interesting. Therefore, the hypercar classes come on. Therefore, the GT older classes have been got rid of, and now GT3 is there. Love that. This was the closest Le Mans on record. Was it like 8 or 9 cars on the lead lap at the end of the race?
Yeah.
Third and fourth, there was a second between them. Bonkers. Loved it for that. However, with that comes increased popularity. With that comes increased financial, should we say, for the team, and budget caps and money that can be thrown at it, and therefore people that want to attend it, which then bumps the price up for basically the, Tom, Dick and Harry's, a bit like you and me, just rocking up who want to go and have a good time.
Yeah.
We even looked like, well, if we were to do this again, how do we do it? Well, we were literally there on race day, wanting to enjoy it, and we were enjoying it, but then thinking like, I wonder how much the hospitality section will be a bit more child, a bit more.
This is where the whole idea of kind of getting onto that ladder of the VIP ladder, as they say, because
for me, it wouldn't be like I want to be rubbing shoulders with the great latest and greatest. It'd be more a case of I'd want to watch the race in a comfortable setting, decent view without 30, 40 rows of people that are cramming and clambering all over each other, and being able to get something to eat quite quickly. Trying to go to the toilet, 45-minute wait quite easily on most of the toilets around. There was one near the Cadillac or the Corvette store, which was like there's no queues. It was like the go-to.
That was a secret we were supposed to keep because we
got
found,
another year yet into the rest of the event.
we found a set of toilets that weren't as busy as the rest of them, and it was near the village, wasn't it? It was where the shop, well, the area where you could get merchandise, and there was a bar section, and there was the toilets. It's quite difficult to see.
It's near the Porsche clubhouse membership shop.
It was, yeah. So it was very close to there, and so you can get in there, getting out very quickly, and it was actually quite clean considering. Remember, your dad was it your dad or was it Alex that commented on it saying
it's really clean.
It's really clean. You've got to see it, and it, let's say, piqued our curiosity, and we went inside.
But then even trying to get food.
Yeah.
I tactically went to, I think it was in the family zone, wasn't it, on the race night?
Yeah.
We tactically went into the family zone to see if it's a little bit quieter, and it was, but the queues for about 20 different burger vans were still ridiculously long. I think Alex queued for like 45 minutes. I queued for about 20 minutes and got whatever sandwiches and stuff I got, but still.
And this is, again, another reason why it might be better off to just bring your own food and just use the campsite to your advantage, because it again, waiting, and it's starting to bring that kind of Alton Towers, Thorpe Park kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Where you're having to wait.
For those of you who don't know that, they are like Disney, for those who are outside
theme
the UK,
parks.
Theme parks, if you like, roller coaster parks.
Six Flags, Disney World, that kind of
all
vibe.
That kind of stuff,
where you have to wait. That's just part of the experience, and you have to have patience. And, comparing to the previous time in 2022, that wasn't the case. You could get something within 10-15 minutes. Yeah. But again...
Just 2022, what was it like walking around in 2022?
It was... You had space. You had that kind of fresh air to breathe, and it didn't feel congested. Yeah. Whereas, now it's become a little bit more congested, and you can see where
There's so many, and a lot of people were commenting, like
Yeah.
fans and spectators were commenting saying there were bottlenecks everywhere.
Yeah, and bottlenecks not only from a track spectator side, but I think the spectator, not the spectator, sorry, the volunteers were also bottlenecked, and this is coming to a point where what does this mean going forwards? How are the staff, how are the organisers going to deal with this increased kind of population, this popularity?
It's like as if my dad commented on it and summed up saying it feels like they've gone, yeah, we'll take your money. Here's a bit of plot of land as a campsite, not really up to standard as much as it could be. And yeah, that's great. You guys work it out when you get there.
Yeah.
If you don't like it, then tough, then get VIP.
This is it. And this is where then you feel pressured, or you feel like you have to get VIP. And this is where, again, the money-making part of it comes from, because those VIP packages or hospitality packages, right? They're not cheap. And it depends on the manufacturer. So Porsche have their own, Ferrari have their own, BMW have their own. And the more and more, so this is another thing, the more and more teams there are, the more of these packages that come into place. Which means in a few years' time, if you actually want to have a good glimpse of the track, then you might have to get a hospitality package.
I mean, in fairness, just as a brief thing, probably worth commenting about the aesthetically pleasing look of the Ferrari. The Ferrari hospitality as a build, it's a temporary structure.
Yeah.
It was in, I don't know what, it would be, obviously it's a Ferrari colour, but it was in this kind of dark Rosso, whatever it might be.
Red, yeah.
I'll see if I can find a picture and put it on. So it was a thing of beauty with like an SFX, it's an SF90 KXX, like the track, well, can't get my words out. The hardcore track variant of the SF90 was outside on a plinth ready.
It was, yeah.
It was just kind of like, that looks like, and it was next to the GR Gazoo Racing Toyota one, and by comparison, Toyota, I love you to bits for competing and stuff, but it looked like nothing in comparison to the Ferrari one. they in terms of making you feel special in that hospitality, and then I think it was Le Mans last year, I think it was on the Chris Harris Collecting Cars podcast, Neil Clifford, he went to Le Mans, big Ferrari fan, and he commented saying the Ferrari packages is like 8-9 grand, 10 grand. And he goes, I didn't spend a penny of that. It's a case of who you know, not what you know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, yeah.
And that's the part that really kind of, takes out the what Le Mans was originally about. So I've seen pictures of the early kind of races that had gone on in the 1950s and the 60s, even though it was I think it was 30, it was in the 30s it started, right?
To 23.
23, sorry. So, but seeing spectators actually butting up against the barriers, and being able to watch cars whiz past them, whereas now it's becoming more difficult. And how the organisers are going to deal with this kind of increase is going to be, I don't know, but it definitely needs to happen. Whether that, and I think something we discussed was, there's no issue in having a kind of like a Glastonbury type kind of approach.
A ticket cap.
Yeah, a ticket cap, or having an invite only thing where you have to register in advance.
And it's a lottery.
Yeah. It keeps the exclusivity as well. But going back to that point on the Ferrari kind of building and stuff, I'm just amazed at how these buildings can be erected in such a short amount of time and what they have available inside them.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Definitely will be in the future. We'll visit one of them.
I say I'd like to experience it, just to be like it. Not like it, I've been there, but more like it. What's it like? Is it good as, and yeah.
I think we'll vlog that. We'll definitely we'll try and get some footage of that if we do have the finances and if we have that.
As always, we'll try and act like we belong in there.
Yeah.
Rather than, hi there, can we come and look inside your fancy hospitality, please?
Yeah, we weren't dressed like the kind of people that were there. I mean,
hey, I brought iron shirts this time too.
You did. You were wearing your shirts. Being the person you are because of
trying to make things work.
We just stuck to shorts and t-shirt. And again, I think I'm really bigging up these tips here, but clothing wise, shorts and t-shirt will always get you there, because one thing as well is all the walking you have to do.
Didn't one of the people who was with us, they had a walking app, and was it like 25,000 steps we did?
Average.
Average?
Average of 25,000 steps. I mean, you've got to get from the campsite to the racetrack, and then getting around the racetrack, there's a lot of walking you have to do. And that, again, is another thing you have to watch out for, is walking. Make sure you have comfortable trainers. Make sure you're wearing clothing that you're used to having these long walks in. So, you know, when I would think, you know, if you have jeans, shirt, you want to be a bit more comfortable than that, I think. Be prepared to spend long hours out as well. Yeah. So you said the umbrella was a good idea.
Godsend, especially for those who were there this year. The umbrella was required on a frequent and irregular basis.
Yeah.
To the point there would be like 4 or 5 people huddling around you. It was like, can we come into that, please, Jazz?
Yeah, I mean, again, rain adds a bit of spiciness to that race as well. And
it did. Was something, I mean, to be fair, I put a little post out onto one of the fans' pages saying, like, is there anything you want us to talk about in this podcast? And the first thing, and one of the few things that was mentioned repeatedly, was the safety car process.
The safety car.
The safety car. This year for endurance racing hasn't been great in some respects. You know, the Nürburgring 24 hours was earlier, and that was known as, I think, like the one of fog, because those of you who, I don't know loads about it, but I know that it was basically cancelled heavily and for a long period of time overnight because the fog was too bad, and it was like actually the 10 hours of Nürburgring rather than 24. This one by comparison is known as the Le Mans safety car race. And so I looked into this a little bit, and basically the way it used to be would be like F1. You'd have one safety car, and then all the cars would bunch up behind the safety car. The reason why they changed it, I think it was back in 2018, I read, one of the Porsche GT cars was timed it by chance to go into the pit just before a safety car went out, and then when they looped back round again, they effectively got a 2-minute cushion time-wise.
Oh wow, really?
Which then meant that then the competitors had it basically not predicted, but what's the word I'm looking for? It decided the result immediately, and therefore it made the racing kind of pointless. So what happens now is that there are now 3 safety cars. Because the lap is 8 miles long, they try and do it so then at some point you'll have a rough distance between the other cars. But then what they'll do is, if something happens, like a crash, like it did on the Saturday night that we watched it, they'll bunch the cars up, and then they will do the pass around. So then you can technically unlap yourself to then be in the correct race order, but you're not gaining or losing an advantage. The problem with that,
time.
We waited. There was we thought, I think it was like about 11:30 or something, wasn't it? We thought, safety car. It was brilliant. It was like, safety cars come out. It's starting to rain. They're all on slicks. This is going to be brilliant. 1 hour later, we were still waiting. An hour and a half later, we were still waiting for the safety car to come in.
And that's the hard part with it all. It's waiting for that safety car and that procedure to do its thing. Yeah. And so you lose the momentum.
I know it's very easy for us to comment and say, well, this is bloody terrible and stuff, and not come with a solution and stuff. At the same time, they had it for last year for the 100th year one, and they said that they've modified the procedure for this year, but it was still.
I was going to say, I think it stopped quite a while back, maybe about a minute back, I think. But the cameras stopped rolling.
That one's gone, but the other 2 are still going.
Are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the GoPro and my phone is.
Okay, so you still want to keep it going regardless of the camera?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, because we've still got the other 2 to back up.
Okay, so.
Where were we? Yeah. So on the Saturday night, we had this kind of 1 hour safety car period. Like you say, I appreciate it's a fair process, and for with the amount of money that's on the line, that's been spent on the event, that's been spent by the manufacturers.
Yeah.
I completely get that. From a racing spectacle, though,
took too long.
There was a lot of waiting around.
Yeah, and again, it all came down to the fact that there was a lot of spread between the cars, and so to get them back into their orders, and then to get them going around. The Porsche safety car, by the way, I don't know if it's just me, but I remember that car used to be a lot better sounding back in the day. I don't know what.
It's because it's the Turbo S.
There you go.
It's a vacuum now.
Yeah, washing machine, a Dyson, as we would say.
The Dyson. Yeah, we took the mick out of Alex, our friend who's a massive Ferrari fan, and saying that the 296 GT3 cars, they sounded rubbish.
So on this on the topic
Of sound.
of sound.
Okay, let's do it. Yeah.
So, okay, in order, if you were to put like top 3 in terms,
Okay.
go off.
That race this year.
Yeah.
Cadillac first.
Okay, yeah, I agree.
Cadillac hypercar.
Yeah, of course. That was the one thing. So going back to the last one, I remember the Porsche GT3 in the Road to Le Mans race. That was the most polarizing car of last time.
Yeah.
This time around, I think the Cadillac was by all
Bonkers.
means. Yeah.
In all the right ways.
Yep.
Then there was another American car. I can't remember. Oh, the Mustangs. The Mustangs.
You with your cowboy kind of mentality.
I've established whilst we've been away on this trip that I am slightly a secret American.
Yeah, and you're like a Richard Hammond in this way, because
yeah.
I get it, but at the same time I think, okay, let's go back to the top 3. Okay, so you said Cadillac. Mustang. I would have said next would have been the Alpine.
That did sound good.
It sounded very good.
I think it's a V6 as well.
I think
it wasn't great in terms of reliability, but it sounded amazing. And then either the Lamborghini hypercar or I thought it was rubbish.
The Porsche. I think that was...
Porsche hypercar was sounding nice.
Yeah.
Ferrari sounded a bit flat.
Yeah, I mean, for me, the Ferrari sounded, or let's say, has a similar kind of thing to the Toyota hybrid engine as well.
Yeah, in terms of sound.
Yeah, exactly. And
I say that so if we're just doing hypercars.
Yeah.
Cadillac first.
Yep.
Porsche second.
Yep. Oh well, Alpine, sorry.
And then a joint third.
Yeah.
Alpine and Toyota. I thought the Toyota sounded quite meaty.
Interesting.
But that's a personal preference thing for me.
Yeah. Okay.
But then I don't know what it is. I'm going to touch on so you do your top 3 first.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that roughly around the same.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
I'm going to touch briefly on Mustangs.
There we go.
So, I'm a bit of a Mustang fanboy. Much to the disappointment of my friends who attended and the ones who are in close proximity right now. There's just something about them that is just cool. I can't put my finger on it. I don't know if it's the inner Steve McQueen within me, or it's because it's an endurance race and they're still doing stuff with a thumping great V8. I think it was the Mustang GTD, which is basically based on the one that raced at Le Mans, and it was static debut, and they wanted to take on, I think, like the 911 GT3 RS at Nürburgring.
So straight away, that puts...
I know.
There's no competition.
I know.
In that realm. I think...
I'm intrigued to see how quick it does go.
Okay. So GT 500s for me are essentially straight line cars.
Oh, that's
good noise.
Yeah.
But as soon as you chuck into a corner, that's when the car just falls over.
Which is why I'm intrigued to see what this does.
Okay, fine.
I mean, in terms of cost and stuff, it is priced probably not far for GT3 911 GT3 RS. Okay. It's not cheap. I think it's like $150,000
for a GT.
For a GTD, yeah,
right.
The red one that we saw.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And stuff. I like the look of it. It looks bonkers in all the right ways. It fulfills the inner child within me. It just makes me smile.
Okay, well, yeah, okay. Well,
go on, crack on.
No, I think it's fine. Listen, as a friend, I support your choices.
Don't agree with them, but I support.
I don't agree with them, but I will support them nevertheless. And yeah, that's all I have to say on that.
Swiftly moving on then. So, done Saturday night. We stayed out until about 1 o'clock in the morning. Sunday.
8 or 9 hours, I think it was.
Oh yeah, we stayed out from like 3 o'clock, an hour before the race, up until 1 in the morning. That was an endurance feat of itself.
Yeah, it was a mixture of. We started at the Dunlop Bridge, as you said, went to the family area or the kind of the family village where they had some of the pop-up tents as well. So you had some of the manufacturers that were displaying concept cars. I remember seeing the hydrogen village as well. I
was quite intrigued by that, actually. The Alpine hydrogen concept thing I thought was epic.
Yeah, I mean...
I didn't start up there, but I watched the video and it sounded juicy.
This is the thing about hydrogen. I'm quite intrigued to see how the future of that kind of will affect racing. Because for me, when we were at the previous time, we saw Was it the hydrogen or electric car?
It was a hydrogen. It was like, I think I remember like an LMP2 car.
Yeah.
That's been converted to hydrogen just as a demonstrator.
The noise wasn't there, was
No,
it?
it wasn't.
It just sounded, again, another Dyson, right? And so my kind of fear is where's this all going to go? Because we've already seen the downsizing of engines. Okay, we used to have V12s and V10s, and then we're seeing it coming down and down. And then we're also seeing the rise of these kind of hybrid engines, which, and even in manufacturers nowadays, they're using, more and more of these kind of DPFs inside the exhaust systems, which means then the noises are just going, aren't they? And you're not going to, I feel like we're not going to see that.
Imagine we both got Type Rs.
Yeah, well, this is where, we want to, as a racer, or as a spectator, that's partly what you come for.
Yeah.
It's the noise.
It makes it all the more visceral.
Yeah, and it's what gets you to sleep at night when you're there as well. Because when the race starts, you've got 24 hours of non-stop noise.
Yep.
And when you're at the campsite, you can hear it. Constantly. And yeah.
No matter where you are.
No matter where you are. And that's the special part of it as well, about once you're there, you understand the energy, you understand the fact that these cars are going consistently for that length of time. And that's what makes Le Mans special. It's the fact that there is that element of it's not just going to stop, it's going to keep on going. No matter what you're doing, you could
still going on.
It's still going on, yeah. And so that's a special part of it. So, yeah, let's see what happens. I mean, like you said, Alpine came out with their hydrogen car. There's also another set of cars I saw as well. There's a concept car there, wasn't there? Was that the Alpine one that we saw?
Which one?
It was the one, the really nice curved one.
Was it dark blue?
Yeah, it was that one.
Yeah, that's the Alpine one.
That was the Alpine one. Then Toyota obviously had their side to it as well. I mean, Toyota have been in that game for a while now.
Well, things that they've brought, I think it's like the GR, I want to say H concept. Let's have a quick look.
Yeah, I think it was.
It looks like basically a Le Mans hypercar.
Yeah.
But it's basically saying, I think as of 2020, whatever it is, it's going to be basically the next step. Toyota GR Hydrogen Hypercar Le Mans. The GR-H2 racing concept. Now that looks...
Okay.
Let's see if I can open this up. There you go. That's what they've been at Le Mans.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I'll put this on the camera so you can all see. Now that looks like it means business.
It does, yeah. I mean, if that's going to be the future, then there's not much to worry about. But
again, the noise. It shouldn't match. The noise shouldn't be everything, but it just is.
It is. It's the feeling. I mean, driving electric cars today. I mean, I have a Tesla and I have my Type R, and if I want to feel alive, if I want to feel like I'm driving the car, then I get into the Type R every single day. Yeah. If I just want to get there, then take the Tesla. And there's two different experiences. Yeah. And in this case, I mean, I'm interested to see how this future pans out for the hydrogen racing spec. I mean, there was some really good technologies that are being put forward. I saw the hydrogen fuel cell that was developed as well. So not only are we seeing this kind of technology come forward in the racing scheme of things, but usually we see that technologies that are developed here then kind of like drizzle down into the world around us.
The trickle down effect.
Yeah.
A bit like I commented on about diesel technology in my previous Le Mans video, some would say. For those who don't know, I did a video on the Audi TT that my wife has recently bought. It's a diesel, God forbid. But I made a vague connection between a Audi V12 Le Mans winner and this car. I'll put it in the channel, in the link, and the link below. I'll put it in the channel and the link below, and you let me know if you think that's the case. Anyway, back to where we were. Sunday. We got up. We had a slowish morning. That was it. So me and you deliberately wanted to take our time, didn't we?
You forget about the night before where we were doing the weather forecast.
Crikey, yeah, I completely forgot about it. So, paint the picture, go on.
Yeah, so during the Saturday event, we were peering over the weather report, feeling somewhat, kind of excited about the aspect of rain and that bringing some level of kind of diversity to the race, because it's not only about racing in slicks all day. It's okay, when do you put your wets on when it's raining? I mean, Ferrari played a very risky game in that aspect doing that, but it also got them the win as well. So it's not only just the outright performance of the cars, it's the strategic side, when do you pit stop and all that. So by the by, I mean, we were looking at the weather forecast. I was using Apple Weather, which is about as good as a chocolate fire guard when it comes to,
Love you, Apple.
when it comes to predicting the weather. I mean, I remember when I was showing you the fancy rain clouds and there was nothing there. Nothing happened. But what this meant was that we were more concerned with the campsite, because if it had rained, and if it was raining, that would mean that the single entry and exit point of that place would be absolutely trenched in mud, and almost would be a very difficult journey out again. So yeah, we were luckily greeted to sunshine that morning.
I mean, I woke up and I looked outside and it was blue skies, and I said to my dad, right, I'm not making breakfast, I'm just getting on with the stuff. And I thought the act of me being busy would encourage yourself and others, be like, right, come on, crack on, let's do stuff. And in fact, no, not even that, but like, let's get on with packing. And literally, we had about an hour's worth of sun, and we got the tent completely down in that time. And it is a massive tent in fairness, but then packed away, done and dusted. And I was quite proud of us for doing it in the time that we did.
We seem to have this productivity / kind of get things done moment. It doesn't happen all the time.
Yeah.
I remember when we spray painted your car, and we did a lot of faffing around with that. But for some reason, putting a tent up and down, it's like putting IKEA furniture up and down, right? It happens, or it results in breakups, it results in fighting and domestics. But in this case, we did well. We got that done within an hour, as you said. And then, that's when the rain started to come down. And that's when things started getting a bit funny.
We packed away. We knew that being on the bottom field, we knew that, okay, it's already getting a bit muddy. Is it going to be a case of, if we leave this too late, are we not going to be able to get out later to get to the ferry for 11 o'clock tonight?
Correct.
We then moved my dad's van towards the kind of driveway bit where the matting stuff was.
Bearing in mind that, we mentioned before that the campsite we were on was lower than the other campsite up towards the entrance. So there was a single kind of like bridge. It wasn't a bridge of any sort. It was just a muddy path.
Yeah.
That every car had to get through on our campsite to get to the other side.
Correct. And it was on a little bit of a hill.
Yeah.
And then, basically, no easy way of saying is, my dad's van got stuck.
Yeah, it did.
And then we were kind of like, it was maybe an inch worth of mud. It wasn't even that much. And we were like, crikey, it's not even raining yet.
No.
And we thought, right, okay, we need to do something. We need to act quickly with it. And some saviour in a Defender. If you're watching this, look at the right camera. If you're watching this, thank you for your efforts on that day.
If there's ever a time to get a Land Rover, it's when you go to Le Mans and you need to park in a field. Yeah. Other than that, no, they'll break apart and they're very unreliable. But no, really.
Basically we towed it. Get my words out. I'll cut that bit out. Basically, we got a tow rope from someone else, got this Defender from another person, and then we got the van shifted. Meanwhile, you scampering in your Type R up into the upper field, and that was all done and dusted. Great. My dad then eventually managed to get through to the top end of the bottom field and basically just kept momentum going, got up to the top, done and dusted. He's then trying to park up at this is where the Anglo-French relations wasn't at an all-time high.
So I think this is where
there's different ways of going about doing this thing.
I think you were quite flustered at the point because there was a lot of toing and froing with the van.
Yeah.
And there were a few people that came across and did not know where to park or drive.
They were going at speeds they didn't need to be going in a muddy area.
You lost your rag a couple of times.
I literally went to this guy, and it was a Frenchman in his Jaguar I-Pace, whatever it is and stuff. He did bomb through in an area that didn't have the space to do it, and basically he would, if he'd not Stop laughing.
I think your face was the part which kind of got me off. It was like, look where you're going. Look where you're going.
I'm not going to repeat exactly what he said because it can't be repeated. But I actually went, oi, look what you're doing. And I literally went to him, are you watching? Are you watching?
Yeah.
And he did the usual response of, ugh, throwing hands and ugh. And I was like, watch where you're going.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was enjoyable for him.
Of course, and yeah, like it was quite a tense moment in general trying to get everything sorted, but we did, and like we parked nearby the entrance. I never knew your dad's van was rear wheel drive. That was surprising. I thought those vans were always front wheel drive, so that adds to the problem, right? Because rear wheel drive cars are just ridiculously useless.
Rubbish in the mud.
Yeah, I mean the number of 3 Series BMWs, M3s even I saw, and I thought, good luck, because those cars on any spattering of snow or even rain, they just become terrible. They can't have any traction, do they? So yeah, that was done and dusted.
And then we got up to the track for about 1 o'clock. We thought, right, okay, we'll watch the end of the race then.
A couple of hours to go, yeah.
Brilliant, we'll watch the end of the race and we'll get gone. We've already moved the van and the car. We then started queuing up to get a bite to eat. We hadn't had breakfast by this point. I, by chance, looked at one of the fan pages and it said...
The fan pages for the Prairie...
or just for all
Prairie,
all fans.
yeah.
And it literally said, warning, ACO, the Automobile Club d'Ouest, which is basically the organisers of Le Mans, they are closing the entry and exits for the track and all campsites from 3:30 until 5 o'clock. The race itself finished at 4.
Yeah.
I didn't know that they did this last year because of the amount of people that were there, but they said it's because of fluid changing conditions and to help the fluidity of the traffic, apparently. Thanks for your patience.
Interesting with the word choice there, fluidity, because there was no fluidity last year. I mean, I remember when not last year, sorry, the last time we went, getting out of Le Mans is the next interesting part. It's a race to essentially get into the car and get out. Yeah. But what happens is there's a really big queue getting out of Le Mans. We know
with
that.
Only a few entry and exit.
Exactly. Routes. So this is where, a decision has to be made, right? If you're driving back out of Le Mans, do you stay until the end and just accept that you're going to be in a very long queue? Or do you scamper off early and make it back? Because, again, depending on if you've got a ferry to take, it can really sting you and you can get late. And if you do so, then you've missed your ride.
Screwed, yeah. I mean, literally, so I told the lads this when we were queuing up for food, and I literally went, lads, what do you want to do? I don't fancy being stuck here, potentially, given the fact it was going to rain more, the fields were going to get more, boggy with lots of other people trying to, and the bottleneck effect and everything.
Yeah.
And about 2 of you went like, let's just leave it, let's have this and go. And then begrudgingly we said, right, okay, it's frustrating that we're going to have to do it ahead of a hard decision.
Yeah.
And miss the end of the race. And it was our choice to do that, and we are very happy that we did that. But the fact that we had to make that choice ain't great.
No, and this is the part that, again, highlights where Le Mans is starting to really kind of show where it's losing that gem that used to have, that shine, yeah. So we had to leave early. We had to get out of there so that at least we could make it back. I mean, obviously it's down to us having a ferry booked on the same day, but
it was a late ferry still.
You would think that you could get on the ferry in time, but yeah, we had to dust. We had to get out, and then I spent most of the time listening to the race on the app.
Yeah, we had it in the car
on the radio. Yeah, so a bit of a strange end to that, but all in all, I mean, the experience was, I think, a lot better in terms of organisation from our side. I think.
Oh, just the judgment calls we made.
Yeah, I mean, now that I've been for the second time, I can definitely, like I said in this podcast so far, just telling the tips and tricks that we found is good, and highlighting the potential areas where you can get into some bother.
It catches you out. It catches you out with things you just wouldn't even think are a thing.
No, and that is really it, to be honest. And yeah, the trip in its entirety was great. I think it's definitely got to somehow work in a better way in the future. I think I'm not really. If I was going to the next time, if I was going to get a ticket next time, I would definitely go for something a little bit more premium. But again, that's because me and you.
I say we're that way inclined. We like the fancier things, finer things in life.
Yeah.
But the model of the trip that I've always done it in, i.e. the way we did it this time and last time, that way is possible, but only when everything that unfortunately is out of your control, a person's control, all lines up perfectly. When a couple of them don't, so it's like, well, okay, you're at the whim of the way that the trip goes.
Yeah.
Rather than being able to dictate. And maybe that's something that says a bit more about you and I, who knows. But it's very much changed in some ways for the better. So if you had to sum up, the racing is so much better. The variety of manufacturers, so much better. The complexities of the technology and the branding that's involved, all that kind of stuff. And on part of the hospitality, it is amazing. However, the cost does come down to literally the cost financially a little bit, depending on what type of experience you want to have. But then it also, the shine that it used to have of it being people there who genuinely just wanted to be there for just the racing and enjoyment, that has gone a little bit. And I know there are people who used to go for that, who have now chosen not to go, and they've gone been gone every year for like 30 years, and they've just gone like, there's this year, I'm not coming back again. And I do want to go back again, but I was saying to you before, I do want it to be under slightly different circumstances. Who knows, maybe I need to find another type of endurance. And there are, like the Bathurst 1000, I do want to enjoy that, and stuff in America, like, NASCAR and all that kind of stuff, I do want to experience that. Who knows, Sebring 1000 maybe.
I think we mentioned this already, that, part of these circuits that, part of this event in general, there's not only Le Mans, there's obviously, you've got Spa, you've got Bahrain, for example. I really think that, if you want to enjoy these cars, these hypercars racing around, maybe Le Mans isn't the first place you should go. Maybe you should explore these other events because, again, they're not well known. And you'll find that actually you can experience that same magic, that same shine in the other events. And I think from an enjoyment point of view, you'll find that you'll probably get more out of it in those areas instead.
Yeah, I mean, I did see one at Silverstone back when they did the World Endurance Championships at Silverstone, and that was pretty cool. The bit for Le Mans, you probably know the tradition, the history, the pedigree, that stuff that you can't just plonk on a brand new circuit somewhere else, which if you want to experience just the cars, then it's quite cool to do that, but if you want to experience what the essence of what an endurance race is.
Le Mans has always been Le Mans.
Yeah, and it always will be.
Yeah, agreed.
So we love it.
Yeah, of course we do.
But we'll do it in a different way next time.
Yeah, when we've got much more money and we're maybe in our 40s and 50s where we've accrued enough in our pension pot.
Remortgage several houses.
Stupidly spend it on some hospitality tickets on Le Mans. And I'm sure by then it will be even more expensive to get onto those. And you never know. And the good thing, as you see, is there's more and more people getting involved from a racing perspective. So who knows who we're going to see in the next few years. I mean, what's happening next year in terms of involvement? Who are we seeing on the track?
Right. Oh, yeah, actually, to be fair, that's a good point. Aston Martin, Valkyrie. I am slightly excited about that. Originally, they were going to go in 2020, 2021, and then they backed out, probably from a financial point of view and the cost that would be involved in it. That car is everything I would want at Le Mans. It's the British racing heritage, the colour of it. I do like the Aston Martin British racing green, or Le Mans green, I don't know what it's called, either way. It's a V12, it's a Cosworth V12 at that. It's just, I think I watched a video by Mr. JWW where he passenger rides in an AMR Pro Valkyrie.
Okay.
I'll show you it after we've shot off and stuff like that.
I've seen the Top Gear stuff.
No.
Is it different?
No, you see it. It's got a camera facing forward and it's got a camera facing him, and then they stop. It has an Aston Martin Pro racing driver driving it.
Interesting.
And after a couple of laps, they stop. That driver gets out and he is kind of stumbles out and is sweating, and James WW is he's in the passenger seat and he's kind of takes his helmet off and he's just kind of he's panting and he's done 3 laps in it, and you're thinking there is going to have to be a team of, and I'll say this with full conviction, athletes that are going to have to drive that thing for 24 hours straight, hours at a time.
I mean, the drivers already are athletes, aren't they?
I know, but
Le Mans?
as in even, I'm sure they had, not discrediting the ones who are doing the hypercars already and stuff, but I don't know, maybe, the Valkyrie AMR Pro and the way it's gone about it, it's kind of been around for a couple of years before it becomes a race car, whereas all the current stuff, it's race car, and you see it when it's just on the circuit. It's a unique car in itself, but the journey it's had from being a design with Red Bull and Adrian Newey and everything, to then being the Valkyrie road car, to then being the AMR Pro. And there's enough interest there, says, is it Lawrence Stroll?
Yeah.
There's enough interest there. Let's go to Le Mans and see if we can win that then. And then just throwing it, Aston Martin versus, imagine it, Aston Martin versus Cadillac, BMW, Porsche, Ferrari, Alpine, Lamborghini, and probably missing another couple of them. What's not to like?
Yeah, exactly. And
anyway,
this is probably what's going to make us then go again next year, and probably then bring another podcast where we talk about the same issues we faced the next year.
And the thing is that we'll be older and more likely to grumble. Anyway.
Boomer generation.
Yeah, approaching fast. But yeah, it's been good, this, mate.
It has, hasn't it? I mean, I think summarising things in such a kind of, short amount of time, it's very interesting to see the top level things, but also just skirting through how we experienced it all. And I hope, for everyone who's listening and watching this, that, we've given you a fair kind of overview of what we went through, and then also some of the things we highlight that, you should look out for. So the tips and tricks and making sure that you enjoy your experience when it comes to Le Mans, because take the bad things aside, it is a spectacular event. I mean,
Nothing like it.
Yeah, it's my second time now, and I was so much more geared for the second event. The first time I didn't know what LMP2, LMP3 meant. I just went along with the flow because it was, I'm with my mate, it's my mate's birthday. But this time, genuinely interested, and I wish to see more in the future.
Definitely. So, if you've got this far in the podcast, audio or video, thanks for sticking with us. Thanks, Mum, because I know you will be. I don't know when the next episode will be. However, I'd happily do this again. If you want certain topics covered either for motorsport, for Le Mans, for cars, or even car culture and how things are in the UK, globally, whatever it might be, comment below. Like and subscribe as always, and we'll see what we can do. But until next time, we'll see you in a bit.
Take care now.